Hey Maria, back with another video. It is 6:44 p.m. It is September 20th. Today is Tuesday, and I want to just come on and make another video because I felt rather chatty. And sometimes I make recordings of myself talking, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll make a video. And I think the videos are better because I like to listen to them again, and then it starts to help me get better, even though it appears that I'm not getting better because I'm always talking about the same thing. And that is a direct result of my inactivity. Like, I don't have enough of a social life to expand on everyday life. So I pretty much have nothing in my head except for the bullshit. Now, don't get me wrong, I go to work and then I get my brain working on the situation, the task at hand. But everybody has to have their own personal life. And unfortunately, my personal life for the last few years, that I came, especially when I came to this realization that I was a victim of human trafficking, was basically, it's just been really negative. My thoughts on my life are just not positive, sadly, because of everything that's happened. But I will say um, that I do feel a sense of gratitude towards life. And what I mean by that is, when I was growing up, I was the one who always had the weird interest, and I was the one that was considered weird, the misfit and everything. But I will say that if I didn't have those interests that I had when I was growing up, if I didn't have the interest that I had in spirituality, religion, if I didn't have the interest in cults, I had a huge interest in cults when I was a kid. And you're probably thinking, why would I have an interest in cults? It just fascinated me that people would accept certain things and would just kind of gravitate towards things. And so when my father told me about Charlie Manson, then that prompted me to read into Charlie Manson. Then, of course, I watched the cheesy movie about Charlie Manson. And I became interested in people like Manson. You know, I got interested in wondering, what is it that makes weak people gravitate towards things. And a lot of it is their ego. They like their ego. You got to think that he appealed to a lot of kids um, who were very impressionable. They were like teenagers or young adults, and they were coming out of a time where they came from a conservative time, especially coming off the 1950s. Now we're in the 60s now, and they're encouraged to do things that they really haven't done before. As a worldview type point of view, like just being loose and the free love and all this other stuff, and they found this person that they looked up to, and he convinced them that he had the answers to everything, and they followed him, and it gave them a sense of identity, and that fascinated me. And so I had those interests as a kid. So then as I got older, I started watching throughout my time of life. And as the time I was being a teenager and young adult, I have watched a lot of religious scandals unfold in my time, since the whole Manson thing, and and it's always fascinated me. I don't think too many people thought that news report back in 2012 was really that noteworthy. Okay, but in my mind, it was extremely significant because we had another person who said that he had divine wisdom and that he led people into a serious error that was very heartbreaking. A lot of people followed Harold Camping into their own destruction because he was basically telling them that the world was going to end. People quit their jobs, people sold their property, and they just started doing stuff that they just harebrained stuff, right? And so they ended up losing a lot of things. Some people lost everything. It's like, Harold Camping really didn't have an explanation as to why he didn't have the exact day of the end of the world. So he was just, it was like no big deal to him, but to his followers, they lost everything. You see, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, people really need to open their eyes, and know what's going on around them, to be able to recognize what's deceitful, what's truthful, I mean, and start paying a close attention. And does their so-called religious views, are they in line with the actions of their leaders and everything? I mean, I really start thinking about how, in my mind, because what I understand about the Bible, and religion in general, and my just things that I've acquired, I would know better not to do that, or join a cult or be a part of something or do something that contradicts my personal spiritual path. Like when I was growing up, I was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I felt as though that was a religion that was somewhat, I would say I respected the people, the members there, but I also had a big issue with the fact that they did a lot of things. The people, not so much from the Watchtower and Tract Society, even though I have my issues with them. Okay, the Watchtower and Tract Society, I really do. But I had more of an issue with their arrogance, the way that they sometimes came off and the way that they sounded when they talked about how they belong to Jehovah's organization and how these other people are going to die at Armageddon and blah, 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 and their fear tactics that they use to keep people in line. You know what I mean? And I respect people's right to have religion in their life, but it's not to be forced down other people's throats, And I know these things because I've had an interest in human rights, all my life, So even though I'm not really vocal about them, I don't join a political party because I don't believe in politics, and I have good reason to believe those things. Okay, but I keep them to myself. Okay, but at the same time, a lot of people who are victims of human trafficking and targeting, they know that they're dealing with some sort of injustice, and they know that their rights are being trampled on, but they don't have the ability to articulate and say why they are and why do they feel like their rights are. They don't realize that there's a lot of targeted individuals do not realize how illegal this program is. It's like somebody committing a huge crime out in broad daylight, but it's well hidden. You know how they say like hidden in broad daylight or whatever that expression was, or hidden in plain view or whatever it is. It's like target this person. But anyway, and then of course I understand that gang stalking tactics have been used by many hate groups. So of course my interest in the Nazis when I was a kid, I had a huge interest in Hitler as a kid. Not that obviously not because I admired him, but I had an interest in genocide in general. I was a kid that was just really fucking kind of weird, and I can understand why kids would roll their eyes when they would talk to me. They would roll their eyes when they would talk to me or say that I was like boring or whatever, because I really needed to be around kids and an environment that was right for me. You know what I mean? Instead of, maybe my mom shouldn't have sent me to public school. Maybe she should have recognized that there was something more to me and have given me the proper environment. This is where a lot of parents fail, because their kids are trying to tell them something and demonstrate something to them, and they fucking resent their kid. They think the kid's being precocious or out of line or whatever, and it's not. It's like this kid is basically saying, I need these things in order to thrive and be the person that I need to be. And then the kid gets shamed and belittled and blah, 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 because they're not living up to their parents' expectations. And usually their parents' expectations are, they think they're great and up here, but in the child's mind, because the child knows better, because they even know better, more than the parent, that their expectations their parents are giving them are even actually piss poor and pathetic. You know what I mean? It's like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like somebody who thinks I'm better than everybody, but I understood from a very young age that my mind needs more. Like, I need more. I need more than go to work and come home. I need more than just go to school and come home. And that's pretty much how it was when I was growing up, And my family was very, controlling, extremely controlling. And it just disturbed me, the whole thing about the human trafficking. I was just like, whoa, man, that's really deep, and that whole reveal, how it all started making sense to me, and it was extremely disturbing. And then of course, how do I know that, how did I formulate my opinions on incest and all that other stuff? It's because I had that interest when I was a kid, it's like everything that I was bashed for and people thought it was like stupid for me to be studying and being interested in at age has benefited me tremendously as an adult. And I don't know if it's maybe it's because it was a divine thing that maybe, hey, this is what's going to happen to you when you get to be an older person. You're going to get persecuted, whatever. So you need to be able to explain yourself. You know what I mean? Or, I mean, I was just a quirky kid anyway. I don't know. But whatever, I feel like my life is in line with everything. Like things were right where they should have been. Even though I got abused, but the way that who I came out as a person, there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? And I see that, you know. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to come on here and say hello to the targeted individual community, encourage them to make videos. I usually do a video in October. I think it's because it's a national, I think domestic abuse. I know that's terrible. You don't even know what you're talking about. And every year that you make a video, not really. I know there's two. There's domestic stalking, and then there's one that's a general stalking awareness month. I believe stalking awareness month is in January. This is about domestic violence and abuse in October. That's coming up very soon. You know, I've never been somebody who's political. Like I said, I do not vote. I don't have any faith in that system, and I'm not trying to belittle people who do. Okay, this is my channel, but everybody has something that goes on in their life, and I know, and I don't really believe that there's a whole lot of like social change or changes that really benefit anybody. To me, it just seems like there's a more of an interest in keeping people down. There's more money to be made in keeping people down than actually helping them. So I think they like to see people suffer. That's just how I think, you know. But anyway, I guess what I was trying to say is that I want more out of my life than what I had in the past. You know what I mean? Like I was a very unhappy person growing up, and it was miserable for me. It was absolutely miserable for me. And I couldn't really figure out why. I mean, I knew that I thought that everything that I was interested in, like, was important, you know? Everything that I was interested in was important, you know, and I'm sorry if I really couldn't get into, you know, the teenagey type stuff. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. There were certain things I liked about being a teenager. I did. I mean, but for the most part, like what I mean by being a teenager, of course I love the makeup part, you know, I absolutely love that. And I used to love those, like, you know, cheesier than cheesy, like almost embarrassingly cheesy, like heartthrob magazine books, you know, that people would get, like Bop and 16 magazine, that crazy shit, you know, Tiger Beat and all that sort of stuff. You know, I remember getting those things, and, you know, you dream about stuff, you know, think about, oh, how good looking this person is, and how cool it is, and I don't know, you know, and you had all these unrealistic expectations of what that particular entertainer was like, you know, like you wonder, you know, but they're just like regular people, you know, as an adult you see that, but when you're a kid you just idolize people and stuff like that. And so that's a part of youth, you know, that's a part of like growing up, I think, you know. But you know, I guess I've always been like this, you know. And for some people, you know, I think nerds, and I guess that would be nerdy to people. And it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, I would point out other nerds and hate on them for being nerds. I was like one myself, you know. But I've always been that way. And I think a lot of people are used to nerds, like going to like 4-year colleges, possibly even more, getting more of a. But so you have to understand, my background was very abusive, and I literally went from one place to another, not knowing why. Every time I go somewhere, there's like this huge disruption. I kept feeling like I was running away from something all my life. I had no idea that I was being like stalked. Like literally stalked until like just a few years ago. Then it started making sense. It's like, okay, I know that I put forth effort in things. I know that I care about things. Why does this always fucking happen to me? And then I started realizing, and then I started looking into other targeted individuals talking about how they moved from like one state to another only to fucking find that the same shit was going on in the next community. You know what I mean? And then I realized, okay, who's the fuck doing this? And then I went down the line. I don't want to go into all that. Okay. But, you know, and then I also feel like, okay, well, I don't like meeting people who have that, demon transfer face on them, like that bullshit. Like, I don't want to deal with bullshit. I have the right to live my life in peace, and instead of being, harassed. And I didn't appreciate that, but the tactics that were used, and they have been used by a lot of hate crimes, like I said before, but it's also like a natural, I think it's a natural tactic that comes over people, or idea that comes over people to use, because it's evasive, and the purpose of it is that they want to know and follow you around and know about you, so that they can further learn how to control and manipulate you, whatever that be, whether it be in the past, like back when the Nazis were doing it. Maybe they're doing it so they could find out what other Jews were being hidden, or get information from them. In the Old South, when the Ku Klux Klan was doing it, same fucking reason. They were doing it, whatever, so they can find out things about them. Are they, married? Or do they have kids? Do they have whatever? How many people are they going to have to round up? This sort of stuff, crazy stuff. But whatever that is, this sort of tactics should never be put out in the public. Yeah, there's a lot of people who do things like that, and they don't think that there's a seriousness about it, or they don't think that it's that big of a deal. Okay, but I will tell you, it's very much like working up like a frenzy in people, because people get worked up because they like that little social affiliation type thing, and then they start becoming bullies. You know what I mean? Even if it's obvious that you've done nothing wrong. You know what I mean? It's just like it becomes an issue of piling up on the weak. And I am not weak by any means, okay? But I'm just saying is one person against a community, okay? That intimidates a lot of people. Okay, and this is how they get their tactics. They put pressure on people. And sometimes that's one of the reasons why a lot of people do commit suicide, because the pressure is extremely too much. What they try to bully you into is too much for them to take, and so this is their alternative. And I think people aren't knowledgeable about the law. They don't know if things are even on the books, or what kind of behavioral things are acceptable that doesn't invade or prevent or violate somebody's privacy. A lot of people just don't know. They know that what they're doing is devilish. Okay, they know that it's kind of wrong, because certainly they wouldn't want people, knowing personal things about them, or having people spread rumors about them, or people exaggerating things about them, or whatever. Especially something that's going to affect their ability to provide for themselves and their families. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just in their mind. They think they're having fun. These sort of games are fun, but according to the law, it is a felony. Okay, it's a serious issue, because it can affect a person. It can make a person kill themselves or kill other people. Now, I will tell you, like I seriously do suspect that a lot of these people who come into the workplaces and go postal. Okay, now I would never go postal, and I said this before and I'll say it again. I will never go postal. Okay, I understand, my life is short. Okay, what I mean by short is I'm an older woman. I don't know how many years I have left. Okay, so I'm going to try to do everything I can to not do anything wrong and be put in jail or something like that. But when you think about what people are dangling in, they dangle into a person's life. You're playing with somebody's life here. Okay, it's not funny to deny people employment and force them and bully them into certain things that they don't want to do, to try to conquer and win and trivialize a person's existence, and then basically say, do this or we're not going to give you this. It's just like somebody putting a gun to your head. There is no fucking difference. Okay? You're basically making ultimatums that are life-threatening. Okay? So it's going to affect a person. Okay? That's why it's illegal. It puts a person's life in jeopardy. Now, like I said, some people, they don't think about the seriousness of what they do, and then there's some people who, but even whether somebody knew that it was illegal or not, like I said before, they still knew that it was hurtful. They still knew, and I don't care what the excuse is, okay? But anyway, I didn't come on here to like point fingers, but like I said, there's still a lot of anger there. There's still a lot of anger there. That I can't help it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to release it. But I don't want to get personal. I don't want to name names, and I don't want to talk about anything like that. I just want to move on. But I do think a lot of times, and especially today, I was thinking, that a lot of the things that I've had interest in have been of great benefit to me in this nightmare. Okay, and what's going on with a lot of other targeted individuals, they don't realize that a lot of targeted individuals get in really bad situations, and some people have committed suicide. There are some people who never go back to work. There's some people who end up homeless, okay, in this program, okay, seriously. And the reason is because of being bullied, thinking that it's okay to deprive people of their human rights, and then, I think about, the corporations that got involved in the targeting of an individual to deny them their human rights, to possibly lure them into what I suspect to be, I think it's sex trafficking, personally. And sex trafficking can also include, and is also under the umbrella of forced marriages. That is also a form of sex trafficking. Trying to force somebody to marry you is a form of sex trafficking, and it would probably go under the same guidelines, or the same, definition. It's shocking to me to be a part of what is considered to be a scandal. And, people laugh at me because I don't have a bachelor's degree, but I think the most important lessons in life are the lessons that most likely are not going to be taught in the institutions. Okay, now don't get me wrong. If you want, and please don't get me wrong. Okay, I respect people's desire to increase their education. I wanted to go to college myself. Okay, like I wanted to get a bachelor's degree. I wanted to be a CPA at one point. Okay, so I'm not bashing college. Okay, but I do think that college to me is like a means to an end. It's something you have to do in order to move up to this particular point. Okay, but I don't really see it as something that makes or gives people the roadmap to make better life decisions. And I think, and if it does, then they don't retain that knowledge, or they even either ignore that knowledge and don't use it, because I don't really see where most people have that in their life. I don't see where people make good decisions, like decisions that make sense. That's why you see so many of these kids running around, and it's very obvious that they're neglected. It's very fucking obvious that their parents are basically either putting them in front of the TV set and ignoring them for hours and hours and hours and hours, whether that be because of circumstances, because I'm kind of guilty of that too. I know when I was with my son, I would be stressed the fuck out. And I never wanted to be that kind of a parent. I wanted to be the kind of parent, let's go to Disneyland, bring your friends, we'll go take you to Disneyland, we'll go to the water park. I was stressed the fuck out all the time, 24 hours a day, wondering, am I going to be fucking out of a job because of these people trivializing my life, thinking it's funny to come in and play these little games with my life. You know what I mean? So I understand, okay, but I'm saying is that we make bad decisions. I've in the past made bad decisions, But I've started I started taking things back and started thinking, okay, how does this apply? And what happens with a lot of targeted individuals, they find themselves in this program and they're like, okay, I know that it's not fair that this person's like preventing me from working, but they don't start realizing just how bad it is that this person feels as though they have this sort of entitlement to make those fucking decisions. This person is a victim of domestic stalking. This person is being abused. And corporations are obviously helping them do it, especially some of the ones that are more shocking. Large corporations are helping them do it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a fucking scandal. Okay. It's one that, should be covered on the news and in national news. Okay, but there's a lot of targeted individuals are starting to get one. They did a few news coverages on targeted individuals before already, and it is a serious issue. You know what I mean? It's an invasion of your privacy on large privacy scale to where a person becomes like they just become like open attack illogically, and these people convince themselves, oh well, I'm her boss, I'm her this, I'm her that, I have the right to do that sort of stuff. This is what that farmer probably thought. Okay, he should have been sued, plain and simple. He should have been sued. That woman who I was working for before him should have been sued. And I know people are going to say, Maria, stop being angry. I understand that. Okay, you cannot understand how I feel, because I missed many years of my life. That's how I feel. I missed many years of my life. Could have been happier instead of what happened to me. Okay, so, but anyway, I'm sorry. I get a little off key with this topic, but it's therapy for my soul because I need to talk about it. I do need to talk about it. So anyway, I kind of botched this video. I really wanted more today to talk about cults. I wanted to seriously talk about the different cults that I remember, and I really did mean to not go into the whole injustice of my targeting and everything. I meant to. That was my true intention, but I got way off. Okay, but that was really what the theme of this video was. It was actually going to talk about the different cults that I saw throughout my life, and the ones that obviously I experienced. And I do believe that this whole thing was like, it was a cult. It was a cult. People joining together, and a cult usually is comprised of, like they call it one or maybe two charismatic leaders, people who somehow are able to get a large group of people to listen to them and persuade them to behave a certain way, and people join it. And the more people who join it, it becomes like a network, and then you got that little sense of belonging, and they feel good about themselves, and it's all an attack against another person. I wish to God these people could have been sued. Seriously, I really do wish I couldn't have been sued. And if they would have been sued, see, here's the thing. These lawyers who knew about this case, I personally think at the beginning, when the case was still fresh, because I made calls. I did. After a few months, I did make calls. I didn't do it right away, but when I started realizing more and more, it was becoming quite clear that something was not quite right, that I'm having problems finding jobs. And then when I did find a job, I was losing that job for no fucking apparent reason. Then I started trying to get legal help, and it was always like they didn't want to take the case. And it was all because of what was going on in this community. These people are fucking corrupt. And I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say that corporations, I'm not just saying here in Bakersfield, okay? There was other communities that did it when I was going to look for work in there. It's a corrupt system. Okay? Blacklisting destroys lives, and it can also, I think that it plays a huge role in, not so much blacklisting, but I was going to say bullying plays a whole role in it, and the whole issue of human trafficking. People are getting trafficked through these corporations. They're getting trafficked through. Even surprised me. Like, there's so many things I learned from this. Like, even companies like I don't want to say it, because to me they should be sued, okay? But this particular temporary agency who claims to be an equal opportunity employer, this is why there are equal opportunity employers, to prevent shit like this from happening. You know what I mean? That's why when people used to see, like, this is an equal opportunity employer, people like of color, women, or just anybody, disability, whatever, they're supposed to feel, oh, this is good. I can let my guard down. I know I'm not going to be judged because of this, and this. They're going to look at my skills. I have a fair chance here. You know, this whole thing fucking just really, really shocked me. You know, and it made me more aware of not just the ignorance and the arrogance of people, but what I guess when I think about, you know, having a job and going to work, and don't get me wrong, okay, I think people should take pride in their jobs, really, okay? And some people, you know, some people look at their career or what they do as a, and I guess I get it. I do get it, because some people, that defines them in everything they do. As a matter of fact, it's kind of a tradition for it, kind of, too, in a way, okay? Because, you know, a lot of the European names were basically derived off what people did for a living. You know what I mean? Like, you hear the name Baker, well, guess what those people were? They were bakers, so they called themselves Baker. Schumacher, those people, that's a German name. Schumacher, though, but it's like shoemakers. These people were shoemakers, and so on and so forth. So I understand, you know, that, you know, what you do for a living defines you. But I never became somebody who was, like, obsessed with, you know, looking at what other people had and then, like, trying to fight them or battle them for it. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, you know, I understand that there are certain people that I can name one girl that I grew up with, okay? I know that she has every single fucking right to have grown up to be a lawyer. I cannot sit here and say, well, she doesn't deserve that. I know the work that she put into it. I'm not going to sit here and, like, you know, stalk her at her workplace, or, you know, or, like, blacklist her or talk shit about her, because it's like, this is what she fucking deserves. You know what I mean? And I'm certainly not going to hate her. But see, some people do. You know, it's not just them seeing them on Facebook and then maybe kind of rolling their eyes and being like, oh man, I wish I could be in that situation, or I wish I could have that kind of career, or whatever. It's not just that and then walking away and getting that off their mind. There's some people who see you on Facebook and they can't go to sleep at night because they're tossing and turning, wondering how they can fuck your shit up. That's the goddamn truth. You know, it's so funny because there's so many people talking about how Facebook and social media has ruined their lives. You know? As a matter of fact, this whole thing started to, like, reveal itself a little after I got on Facebook. When you think about the timelines, and the very girl who encouraged me to get on Facebook was the person who was seeing the guy that I used to like's brother from high school. Anyway, I'm not going to mention names, but it all starts making sense now. You know what I mean? And I am traumatized because of it, and it does. There's an effect. It causes, you know, severe trauma to know that you are a victim of a hate crime from people that you knew. That's like, whoa. So that's shocking. But back to the crime part. The crime part is the fact that that it's the trafficking part that shocks me a lot, you know. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a political person. I'm not the kind of person, I don't vote. I think that, you know, I don't believe our votes really matter, really. I don't believe they do. And I know that there's some people who've probably hated me for saying certain things and believing certain things, and they like to be argumentative about it, but that's my choice to believe that, you know. And I talk about human trafficking because I'm hoping that maybe there's a small chance that maybe somebody will see this and help somebody before they become traumatized. Maybe they can recognize the signs in their workplace. Maybe employers will put a stop to human trafficking. You know what I mean? It's one thing to have somebody working in your company, but when you are, you know, dead set against a person, or you're working against a person, or you're plotting against a person who is traumatized by somebody who is abusing them, that's so weird. It's like it's twisted to me. No, it and I just remember the farmer one time. I was like, you know, doing my best because I knew that all I had was me. You know what I mean? I didn't think that, you know, I knew I was trying to work and make sure that I had would be available for other opportunities, or I had room for growth, because I needed to plan my future. You know what I mean? And I didn't think that someone was trying to plan my future for me, or that, you know, I just felt violated that somebody would take things and do these sort of things to me. And um, the way he acted was that, like, you know, the work that I was doing was just like, he he acknowledged it, but he never gave me credit for my work. And now I understand that it was probably my siblings telling him to do that. You know what I mean? But my work mattered. It really mattered to me. And I remember like going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and working my ass off, and then, like, you know, only so I can deal with his stupid bullshit. Yeah, that fucking farmer. I'm not even gonna go into it. Like how Maria, stop it, stop it. Okay, just stop it, Maria. You know, the kind of abuse that people have to deal with, to keep a roof over their head. It's absolutely shameful. It's absolutely shameful. You know. So anyway, I don't regret being that nerdy kid in school. And I think it served me well, really. And I hope that other targeted individuals will make videos and talk about, you know, their problems and what's going on in their mind. I know they don't have a circle of or network of people that they feel like they can really trust or they can confide in. And I have told you that there's a lot of targeted individuals, not just me, who do not go to psychiatric places of any kind, mainly because they will just exploit you. And I can tell you the name of the company who tried to exploit me. And what I mean by exploit is they were getting information to my perps, or they were a part of it, and they went along with it, and all this other stuff. This is corruption. That's what it is. Okay, when people sign these confidentiality things, whether it be in a medical facility or it be with their employer or whatever, they feel as though they're being protected, and the employer betrays them. You know what I mean? Let me tell you, that's a scary thing for someone to have to deal with. You know, when a woman is all by herself trying to protect themselves from perverts and people that she's fucking terrified by. You know, yeah, it's a lot for me to get over. And who can you tell, right? Who can you talk to about it in person? Who can, you know, there are, I know there are help groups. There's no like targeted individual help groups and stuff like that. The sad thing about it is when these places are online, they can be infiltrated by perps. People want to, like, they think it's funny, or they don't really understand or even care that some people are being attacked, or they're being victim, they're trafficked, or they're dangling on the line. Some people are poor and broke. There's this one guy who was on Facebook. He befriended me. I don't really know him very well, but I know that he's living on the streets now, because his family was extremely competitive of him, and he's on the street, and they're probably happy that he is. They're hoping that he'll die in the street too, because that way, you know, if he dies in the street, he died homeless, and you know, it's a cover up. Nobody really knew because no one really ever talked to him, and they made sure that they didn't, because these people were always kept hidden. They had complete control over what this person was doing at all times. You see what I'm saying? Targeting is a very serious issue. You know, it's a very, very serious issue. And I hope that, you know, this community has learned a little bit more about it. And I hope that I know, because I've read in articles about what goes on in Kern County, and they say that human trafficking is a very serious problem. Now, I'm not sure they didn't talk about the kinds of different human trafficking that goes on in this community and in the surrounding areas, okay? But it doesn't surprise me, because just how people normalize this, They normalized what happened here. They probably normalize other things, okay? And they don't recognize what's going on. I'm hoping that people will start waking up. You know what I mean? Anytime you hear about somebody bullying somebody, or you have to like listen to what they're saying, or you have to repeat or go back to somebody and tell them what they're saying, what they're wearing, what they're eating, what kind of food they buy, this sort of stuff, be careful about that. And I know that there's, especially they'll use the scam. Well, I'm trying to help this person get a job, and therefore I have to know what kind of spaghetti sauce she eats. I got to know that. Now, you might think that's kind of silly, okay? But a lot of people who are stalkers, who are obsessed with you, as stupid as it is, they want to know what kind of spaghetti sauce you eat. How much are you paying for that spaghetti sauce? Are you paying $3.29 for that spaghetti sauce? Because in their mind, you should be paying $1.25. It's a very sick form of control, and and they try to use these standards to determine whether you get a job or not. And it's so warped and it's so twisted. It's very twisted. To me, if somebody is concerned about somebody's habits or their spending habits or whatever, you would call them up and say, hey, I'm concerned about how you're spending your money. Me as your friend, yeah, like that exists, right? I'm your friend. I care about how you spend your dollar. Why don't I come over this Saturday and we'll talk about creating a budget? Okay, maybe. Okay, I might invite this person over, I might not. Okay, but what I will do is appreciate the fact that they came up and confronted me, presented the opportunity to do it. Somebody willingly offered me a helping hand, but they did it to me in person and didn't manipulate shit. When you got people doing shit behind the scenes, suspect bullshit. Always. And hopefully, and I at first, there was times where I recommended contacting the Department of Human Trafficking. I will not do that now that I understand. When I start really thinking about it, don't do that. Either law enforcement, even though they suck too. Okay, I will tell you right now, law enforcement sucks. They don't even know the law, so how can they fucking enforce it? But, they should be starting. Hopefully, some of them do. And I know there's corruption in there too. I'm not saying there's BPD, but I've heard stories, and I'm not even going to go there. Okay, hey, I have the right to say it. Okay, so let's not try to pull Maria over and try to rough her up just because she says stuff. I'm saying this because I've heard from other people. I have never had any problems with BPD, except for one time somebody threatened to call BPD on me, who was a part of the perp chain, who was part of doing all this bullshit. Then I realized if a cop is going to come to my house and harass me for trying to inquire about my personal life when I know that I'm involved in this program, well, I'm just going to call that person corrupt, and that's just the way it's going to be. And mind you, I've never had any personal problems with the cops, okay? And I've always known, as a person of color, you don't fucking deal with the cops. So when I see them drive by, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I don't do anything wrong for them to sit here and hone in on me, okay? But I know that if they did pull me over, I'm going to pull over, I'm going to comply with what they say. Why? Because I don't want them to shoot me. I try to be a very peaceful person, and it does bother me that, because there's always a negative feeling after gang stalking, because your life is never really going to be normal again, unfortunately. You're never going to see people the same way again. You're never going to see a lot of things the way that you used to. Again, it changes your life. You know what I mean? It changes how you view things and how you see things, So, anyway, enough of my rambling. I'm sorry, but I needed to talk, and I'm so glad that I did. So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. I've been busy, which is good, but I have those moments when I need to talk. And thank goodness for YouTube. I hope other targeted individuals make more videos themselves. Talk about your problem, get your story out there, and release some of the stress in your life. Take care. Bye-bye.